I'm really excited for this new beginning and to build something from the ground up here with the Valkyries.
As the WNBA goes through its first expansion in almost 20 years, the Golden State Valkyries have joined the league, bringing excitement and big expectations. Kate Martin is returning to the court, now playing for this new team, and fans are excited to see her back in action.
However, this news isn't sitting well with A'ja Wilson, the current MVP.
She seems upset with Kate's arrival, feeling like it's a betrayal. Meanwhile, A'ja is feeling more pressure than ever. She is watching as other teams, including the Valkyries, improve their rosters and rise.
I mean, all around, I had a decent rookie season, but I just know something that's really cool about me is that my ceiling is very high. So,
means to the challenge. One of those new players, Caitlin Clark, is already being seen as a future star, and she could be a serious contender for the MVP award this season. The WNBA is changing, and the addition of the Golden State Valkyries is a big part of that transformation. The last time the league saw such a change was nearly 2 decades ago. Now, with the Valkyries entering the league, everyone is curious about how they will perform.
The team's first big move was selecting Kate Martin in the expansion draft.
Her arrival is expected to shake things up and make the competition even tougher. Kate will play a big role for the Valkyries and is expected to energize the
I have a lot of room to grow, always working on my shot, always working on being quicker.
Fans and push the new team to be a strong contender.
Her arrival also means more pressure for A'ja Wilson, who is already facing the challenge of defending her MVP title.
There are new teams, new talents, and more competition coming her way, and she will have to step up to keep her spot at the top. The upcoming season promises to be very exciting as the WNBA sees a real change on the court. The Golden State Valkyries are ready to make their mark, while other teams like the Indiana Fever are building their teams to be stronger in the future. This is creating a new level of competition for A'ja and her team, the Las Vegas Aces. They will have to face not only their traditional rivals but also new and hungry players who are eager to prove themselves. One of these rising stars is Caitlin Clark. Caitlin has been impressing everyone with her skills on the court. She is known for her offensive ability, great court vision, and exciting style of play. Many see her as a potential MVP contender and a strong rival to A'ja Wilson. Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever are doing their best to put together a team that can challenge the top teams in the league. Even though they lost some players in the expansion draft, they are making strategic moves to become more competitive. This means that the battle for the top spot in the WNBA will be fierce and unpredictable. Fans can look forward to a season full of intense matchups and exciting moments as new teams and new stars emerge. The Golden State Valkyries, the Indiana Fever, the Las Vegas Aces, and standout players like A'ja Wilson and Caitlin Clark will all play major roles in shaping the future of the WNBA. As the league continues to grow and change, fans will have plenty of thrilling games to watch and new legends to cheer for. As the WNBA undergoes significant changes, the upcoming season promises to be one of the most exciting in the league's history. The Golden State Valkyries are a new team with high hopes, and Kate Martin's leadership could make them a force to be reckoned with.
Will she become the face of the franchise and lead the Valkyries to success?
The Indiana Fever are also trying to rebuild and challenge the top teams.
Can they reinvent themselves and compete with the powerhouses of the league?
Meanwhile, A'ja Wilson is facing pressure to maintain her MVP title, especially with rising stars like Caitlin Clark threatening to take her spot.
These questions will be answered on the court as the season unfolds.
There's a story that doesn't often get talked about, but it sheds light on some of the struggles within the WNBA. Recently, Tamira "Tammy" Fogg Bentley, a talented forward and experienced international player, was released by the Indiana Fever. While it may seem like a routine roster change, the reasons behind her departure are more complex. Tammy had a strong connection with Caitlin Clark during their time on the team, but there have been rumors of issues involving NaLyssa Smith's treatment of both players. This may have played a role in Tammy's release.
Tammy's career is impressive. She was born in Baltimore, raised in the UK, and is a Harvard graduate.
She has had a successful career both in international play, representing Great Britain, and in the WNBA, where she won a championship with the Minnesota Lynx in 2017. Known for her versatility and defense, she brought leadership to the Fever. However, she was released, with the official reason being the team's focus on rebuilding around younger players. After years of struggling, the Fever are looking to move forward, and Tammy's veteran status may have made her expendable. But some reports suggest there might be more to the story. Tamara "Tammy" Fogg Bentley's time with the Indiana Fever had been tough for several months, largely because of her strained relationship with younger star NaLyssa Smith. NaLyssa Smith was drafted second overall in 2022 and quickly became a key player for the Fever. But reports from inside the team suggest that NaLyssa didn't always make Tammy's experience easy. Allegedly, there were moments when Smith undermined Bentley during practices, openly criticized her play, and even made dismissive comments about her leadership. While Smith's skills on the court have certainly helped the team, it seems her influence off the court may have played a role in Bentley's release from the Fever. Tamara, however, has remained professional through the situation. In the few statements she has made, she expressed gratitude for her time with the team and the friendships she formed with her teammates. Those who have followed her career know that she has always been quiet and focused on playing the game, not causing drama. The fact that she was pushed out of the team reflects more on the Fever's internal struggles than it does on her own abilities or attitude. The bigger question is whether the Fever made the right decision by letting go of a veteran like Bentley. The team is putting more focus on younger players, but that can come at a cost. Veteran players like Bentley bring leadership, stability, and experience qualities that are often overlooked in a league like the WNBA, which already struggles with keeping stars and maintaining strong team cultures. Bentley may no longer be with the Fever, but she has a bright future ahead. She has already proven herself as one of Europe's top players and has many options overseas. Her release from the Fever is a reminder of the difficulties veteran players face in the WNBA, especially when internal team dynamics and politics come into play. For Tammy, this chapter with the Fever ends with more questions than answers. The league is still figuring out how to balance youth with experience, talent with leadership. Now let's talk about NaLyssa Smith, the rising star of the Indiana Fever. You might think she's a player who's helping the team thrive, but things might not be as simple as they seem. There are reports suggesting that NaLyssa may be at the center of some issues within the Fever. Why is her future with the team uncertain? We're going to explore the details that are making waves in the Fever's locker room. And believe it or not, the reasons behind this situation may surprise you. When a new coach starts talking a lot about building team culture and everyone embracing their roles, you know something's up. That's exactly what happened when Stephanie White became the new head coach of the Indiana Fever. Let's look back at her first press conference. She was all smiles, full of big ideas, but something felt off. White kept mentioning how she wanted to build the team around a core group of 3 players, and it made you wonder, what's going on here? She talked about Caitlin Clark, a generational talent, and Aaliyah Boston, a standout player with back-to-back Rookie of the Year awards. White also highlighted Kelsey Mitchell, who had, in her opinion, the best season of her career with the Fever. White's message was clear: she wanted a big 3 for the team, a core group of players to build around. But wait, what about NaLyssa Smith? You'd expect a former number 2 overall pick to be at the center of that core, right? But surprisingly, Smith's name wasn't even mentioned by White. You might think, maybe she just forgot to mention her, but let's be real, Smith was supposed to be the future of the Fever. White continued to emphasize unity and commitment, which felt like a subtle message aimed at someone. She kept talking about what she wanted in a player, and it seemed like she was making a point without saying it directly. White mentioned that success isn't just about individual talent, it's about the team working together every day, facing challenges as one. Doesn't that sound like a dig at someone?
Wow, people are done with NaLyssa Smith. Traitor, get her off the team. Adios amigos, as that guy said.
It gets even more interesting. White started to talk about the type of players she wanted on her team. She mentioned wanting players who could embrace their roles and fit in smoothly with the core 3. Ouch. If you're NaLyssa Smith, that has to sting. It's starting to look like White's plan for the Fever doesn't include Smith. She seems focused on creating a team of players who are fully committed to each other and the long-term goals of the franchise. And with all the drama surrounding Smith recently, it's hard to see how she fits into that plan. White's vision for the Fever's future seems to be leaving Smith out in the...
No, I believe truly in my heart that connected teams are winning teams. And so people who fit, players who fit the culture of the Indiana Fever and where we are and where we're moving towards.
Cold. In the next few minutes, you'll witness a moment that shook women's basketball to its core. We're talking about Shaquille O'Neal, Angel Reese, and a conversation that brought up some uncomfortable truths. Here's what's coming up. We'll reveal exactly what Shaq said that made Angel Reese uncomfortable, show you the statistics that back up his points, and explain why this conversation could change the future of the WNBA. Stay tuned, because this...
Caitlin Clark, a generational player, and Aaliyah Boston, certainly when you think about back-to-back Rookie of the Years and what each of those players have done up until this point for their universities, in the game of basketball, for the women's basketball culture and community, it's unprecedented. And to be able to work with those guys and Kelsey Mitchell, who I think has weathered the storm of Indiana Fever basketball, and I felt like had the best year of her career, this year. And really, when you think about teams, you think about a core three, right? You think about a big three, and to be able to work with that big three.
This is going to be interesting. Shaq just dropped a truth bomb that has the entire basketball world talking. Shaquille O'Neal is a 4-time NBA champion, a Hall of Famer, and a business mogul worth over $400 million. When Shaq speaks, people listen, and he certainly had a lot to say about the WNBA.
We want players that will fit in seamlessly with our core three, which includes Kelsey Mitchell. We want players to fit in seamlessly with the core three. We want players that will play a role and will embrace their role. And we want players that will fit in with the culture and the team.
Picture this, Shaq, calm and collected, discussing ways to make the WNBA more exciting. His suggestion? Lower the rims. Let's roll the first clip. Now Shaq didn't mean lowering the rims all the way to the ground, but he suggested lowering them to about 8 to 10 feet, lower than the usual 10 feet. Why? So we can see more dunks. At first, that might sound like an interesting idea. But here's where it gets
because every single thing that she described wanting to build around Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, and Aaliyah Boston is the opposite of what Melissa Smith is.
Complicated. Sitting across from Shaq was Angel Reese, and she didn't agree with his idea. She fired back with strong points about respecting women's basketball. I feel like it still wouldn't be good enough, she said. It's never good enough. People always disrespect women. They're never going to give us the same value as men. Angel also addressed the issue of people not watching the game. She said, if you lower that rim to $9,999, what's going to happen? The money's going to go through the roof, right? But Shaq didn't stop there. He looked Angel in the eye and compared the WNBA
to another level. You've got incredibly talented players right here in Caitlin and Aaliyah and Lexi, a team that was incredibly fun to watch, very tough to game plan against. So I'm glad I'm going to get to work with you guys, work with you ladies, instead of having to think about how to stop you.
Shaq went on Angel Reese's podcast this week and shared his billion-dollar idea for the WNBA.
High school basketball. Yes, you heard that right. Shaq said, it's like you're watching a high school game. Imagine the shock that WNBA players must have felt hearing.
Bro, a pretty girl dunking on the rim, I'm watching that all the time. You laughing.
My man is not turned on by no woman that's dunking.
It ain't about being turned on, it's about seeing stuff that you're not supposed to see.
Let's break this down. Shaq, one of the most dominant players in NBA history, just compared the highest level of women's professional basketball to high school boys' games. That wasn't just criticism, it was a strong slam dunk of disapproval. You might wonder how people will react to this. On one hand, some people agree with Shaq, believing that he's saying what many have thought for a long time. They argue that if the WNBA wants to attract more viewers and excitement, something has to change. On the other hand, there's a big group of fans and players who are upset by Shaq's comments. They believe his remarks are disrespectful and outdated, arguing that his idea is off the mark. Caitlin Clark recently made history as the first WNBA player to be named Times Athlete of the Year, but not everyone is joining in the celebration.
And women's beach volleyball, let's just say the net is 10. For women, it's lower just a little bit. I'm not saying lower it to 9.5, 9.6, but just 9.9.
Just so we can dunk?
Yes.
No.
No, see? And
I hate when men say that.
But listen, that's the only difference.
People always disrespect women regardless. They're always going to not give us the same value as a man. So I just don't even think that.
And that's why you got to do what you've been doing. Go take the
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, if you lower that thing to 9.999.
And what's going to happen? All right, tell me, the money going to go through the roof?
Yeah.
It's becoming more obvious that she has a lot of critics. From Cheryl Swoops to Aya Wilson, NaLyssa Smith, Diana Taurasi, and others, the list of people not impressed by Clark is growing now in a twist that's both surprising and somehow expected. Cheryl Swoops, a four-time WNBA champion, has become one of Clark's most vocal critics. Swoops had a lot to say about Clark's recent achievement, and in today's segment, we'll explore the backlash and how Clark is handling it all.
I feel like it still wouldn't be good enough. It's never good enough for a man. People always disrespect women regardless. They're always going to not give us the same value as a man. So I just don't even think that.
While Clark had the perfect opportunity to fire back.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, if you lower that thing to 9.999.
And what's going to happen? All right, tell me, the money going to go through the roof?
Yeah.
We don't even have the people don't, enough people don't even watch the game.
She chose a different path, leaving everyone in awe. Here's why her response shows true grace and leadership. Imagine this, Caitlin Clark, riding high after being named Times Athlete of the Year, yet not every.
We don't even have the people don't, enough people don't even watch the game.
Because I don't want to use the B word unless it's certain people playing. It's like you're watching like a high school game.
Everyone is cheering her on. Enter Cheryl Swoops, former WNBA star and now an unexpected critic. Swoops stirred up drama during her appearance on the Gills Arena podcast. Rather than congratulating Clark, Swoops went on a full rant, questioning the very criteria used to award Clark her title. "I'm trying to understand what the criteria is," Swoops said, clearly surprised. She didn't stop there. She listed other players she believed should have won the honor instead. The whole thing felt like a slow-motion train wreck, leaving fans and analysts
Shaq. He was trying to teach Angel Reese how to make the WNBA more entertaining. So people might actually watch the product. And Shaq is qualified to do so. During his NBA career, the dude was a brilliant marketer. He knew how to be entertaining while also being dominant on the court. There was a reason that every member of the media was waiting by Shaq's locker after games. They knew he would deliver the best sound bites. They knew he would give the most entertaining interviews.
Confused about what was really going on. As we look more closely at Swoops' comments, a pattern begins to emerge. This isn't the first time she's criticized Clark. When Clark broke the NCAA scoring record, Swoops quickly downplayed the achievement, questioning whether it was as impressive as people made it out to be.
Angel Reese, just because a man is criticizing your league, it does not mean he is disrespecting women. This is the entitlement I always talk about. Angel Reese and her colleagues in the WNBA, they have this false sense of entitlement that makes them believe that they are above being criticized. Anytime they are criticized, they want to play the victim. Men don't respect women.
Given how much the game has changed over the years. What about Aya Wilson? She also demands attention, leaving everyone in stunned silence. Is this just a careless comment?
It's been interesting because since your article dropped, I gotta say, it has got all the buzz. If you are on X, if you're on Instagram, TikTok for the young kids, you know that Caitlin Clark is the Time Athlete of the Year. How has your 24 hours been since the articles dropped?
It's been awesome, and just the reaction. Obviously, people so excited not only about women's basketball, but about women's sports, and how excited and deserving, not only myself, but just women's sports as a whole.
Or is there something deeper happening behind the scenes? Cheryl Swoops' outburst may be about more than just Caitlin Clark. It could be a deeper struggle between the old generation of players and the new era, a clash of tradition against the future of women's basketball. Once a dominant figure in the sport, Swoops now watches from the sidelines as Clark drops.
Cheryl, I'll start with you. What's your reaction to Caitlin Clark winning Time Magazine Athlete of the Year?
I don't think I'm surprised. I'm curious to know who the other candidates were.
And a whole new generation of fans. The basketball world is left in shock. Swoops, once a role model for countless young athletes, including a young Caitlin Clark, now appears bitter and out of touch. Her comments sparked heated debates online, with fans and players taking sides. However, there's an ironic twist. While Swoops questions Clark's merit, Clark's star power only grows. Her record-breaking performances and ever-growing fanbase speak volumes. The contrast is clear. One athlete is holding on to the past, while the other is leading the way.
And I've grown up a huge women's sports fan, whether it was basketball, whether it was soccer, whether it was volleyball, you go down the list. Like, I grew up loving it and watching it, so it's pretty special. Like, it doesn't really feel real that I get to be here, but an amazing honor.
Way into the future of women's basketball. So how does Clark handle this wave of criticism? Does she respond angrily, fueling the fire, or does she stay calm and poised? How she deals with this situation won't just impact her legacy, it could shape the entire future of women's basketball.
The fact that that's the very first WNBA player to ever win Time Magazine Athlete of the Year is pretty special. And my question is, like the criteria, is it based off of her performance on the court, which, yeah, she had a great year, or is it more about the impact that she had on the game this season?
Get ready, because Clark is about to show everyone the depth of her character. Remember when we said Clark would show us what she's made of? Well, her response to the Time Athlete of the Year controversy is not just surprising, it's groundbreaking. She is redefining what leadership looks like in women's basketball. While Swoops cast doubt on Clark's achievements, Clark continues to break records and win over fans. Does she fight back? Not at all. Clark takes the high road.
This is just probably just the impact of the sport, a little bit of it's a little bit of everything, right? So,
yeah, I mean,
when you think about, athletes of this year,
yeah,
it's her, the swimmer.
What swimmer?
For Olympics.
Katie Ledecky.
Her performance.
Shit, you can put Simone Biles back in there.
You can put her back in there. Probably LeBron from his Olympics.
And this decision has everyone talking. But Clark doesn't stop there. She makes it a point to recognize the legends who helped pave the way for her success. And guess who she credits? Sheryl Swoops herself. This move shows that Clark isn't just an elite talent on the court, she's a class act off it as well. Clark's response.
Put Asia Wilson in there.
That was just basketball.
So that's what I'm saying. Was it just the performance on the court, or
it's global? It's like, I think it's everything.
Yeah,
it's everything.
It goes beyond just rising above the drama. It's a masterclass in how to handle criticism with grace, turning a potentially negative situation into something positive. She's not just standing up for her achievements, she's raising the standards for the conversation surrounding women's basketball. The difference between Clark's approach and Swoops' remarks couldn't be clearer. While Swoops questions and criticizes, Clark chooses to celebrate and uplift. This strategy isn't just earning her new fans, it's quieting her critics in the most effective way possible.
It just keeps putting a light on the sport for everybody else to eat. And sometimes, just as athletes, we are competitive by nature, and, we don't like when someone's getting something that we don't think they deserve.
By honoring those who came before her, Clark is securing her place in basketball history. As the controversy around Caitlin Clark fades away, one truth stands out: how Clark handled the situation has transformed what could have been a moment of division into a moment of unity for women's basketball. Clark has shown the world that it's possible to be both a fierce competitor on the court and a gracious leader off it. But the story doesn't end here. Clark's poised response has set the stage for a much broader conversation. How will the rest of the basketball community react to her display of sportsmanship and class? Stay tuned, because the reactions are about to pour in, and they may just...
Well, it's been a crazy year. It's hard to think about. Like, I was basically just starting my senior year of college at this time last year. And then I graduated. I missed my college graduation, got drafted here in New York City, basically moved right to Indianapolis, and basically start like a whole new chapter of your life instantly, and you don't really have much time to adjust. But lucky enough, I had a really great support system and family around, and I'm from the Midwest. So didn't take me too long, but this past year has just been amazing.
Surprise you. Clark's triumphant Sheryl Swoopes critique didn't just grab headlines, they sparked a wildfire of debate across the basketball world. Opinions are swirling faster than one of Clark's signature three-pointers, and everyone wants to share their thoughts. Let's break down the reactions. On Clark's side, a massive group of supporters has stepped up.
It's fun to reflect back and think about all the amazing things that I was able to accomplish and the people that I got to do it with. I think that's what's made it so special is I've had my family with me the whole time, my friends, amazing teammates, amazing coaches, and it wouldn't be possible without all of them. So just really fortunate.
Fans are flooding social media with praise for Clark, applauding her poise under pressure, and calling out Swoopes for what they view as a bitter backlash. One fan tweeted, "Clark's response shows she's already a legend in the making. Swoopes could learn a thing or two about sportsmanship." So, how will all of this drama shape Clark's future in the WNBA? That's the million-dollar question. Some believe the controversy might put extra pressure on her next season, while others argue that it will only fuel her competitive fire.
The number of Indiana Fever fans I saw in young girls and the way they were lighting up, I mean, you have represented something so special for the sport, but you've drawn eyes to a game that you've always grown up loving. What does that mean to you?
You know, it's kind of hard for me to wrap my head around because I'm so focused and so competitive, and I love the game. I love playing. I love being in front of the fans. But over the course of probably the last 2.5 years, it's all kind of changed where, you know, it's hard to get a ticket whether we're at home or whether we're on the road.
Potentially setting the stage for a dominant sophomore year and maybe even an MVP run. But here's something no one can dispute: Clark's influence is undeniable. WNBA ticket sales are soaring, and television ratings for women's college basketball have never been higher.
A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then you continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing.
Even viewers who have never followed the women's game are tuning in just to watch Clark play. The numbers don't lie. Clark isn't just a player, she's a phenomenon, and she's redefining the landscape of the sport. Clark's impact isn't just about one award or one controversy. It's about the future of the game.
Thoughts on Caitlin Clark saying she wants to use her platform to elevate black women in the WNBA have been instrumental, obviously, in building that league to what it is. Okay.
So what's the
While some question the criteria behind her Time Athlete of the Year win, Clark's response acknowledging the great players who came before her, even Sheryl Swoopes has been a masterclass in grace and leadership. Instead of firing back, she's elevating the conversation. Her style of play, highlighted by long-range shooting and raw emotion, is inspiring young athletes.
I remember my first WNBA game, one of the best memories of my childhood, and I think very influential in wanting to be a professional basketball player, wanting to be a great person, having those people to look up to and want to be like one day. So I just try to embody that every single day, and I feel like I have good perspective on, like, basketball isn't my everything. Like, yeah, I love it, and I get to do it, and it's given me a lot of really great opportunities, but at the same time, you know, win or loss, I feel like I try to be the same person.
Athletes to pick up a basketball and believe in their own potential. Fans are tuning in like never before, and ticket sales and TV ratings reflect her growing influence. Clark's authenticity off the court is just as important. She makes time for fans and remembers what it's like to be the kid in the crowd. This resonates on a personal level. It's not just about Clark and Swoopes, it's about the entire trajectory of women's basketball. The sport stands at a crossroads, balancing respect for its legends with the rise of new stars who are redefining what's possible. Clark's story is bringing more attention, more debate, and more excitement to the
know how you feel or how you respond to some of those criticisms when you have to deal with something that it's really not your problem. Like, I feel like it's them looking in a mirror a little bit, but it still comes down on your shoulders.
I feel like I always have had really good perspective on everything that's kind of happened in my life, whether that's been good, whether that's been bad. And then obviously coming to the WNBA, like I've said, I feel like I've earned every single thing that's happened to me over the course of my career.
WNBA.
She's not merely breaking records, she's reshaping perceptions, inspiring a new generation, and turning the spotlight onto women's basketball like never before. As we watch Clark's journey unfold, it's clear that the game is evolving before our eyes. Her rise signals a new era, one in which women's sports will command center stage, and future players will dream even bigger. The sport will never be the same, and that's exactly the point. Is the WNBA racist? Some would argue that it is, but let's break down some facts and numbers first. By all means, this was the best year the WNBA has ever had. They set an all-time record.
But also, I grew up a fan of this league from a very young age. Like, my favorite player was Maya Moore. Like, I know what this league was about. And like I said, like, it's only been around 25 plus years. So I know there's been so many amazing black women that have been in this league, and continuing to uplift them, I think, is very important. And that's something I'm very aware of. And like I said, like, I try to just be real and authentic and, you know, share my truth. And I think that's very easy for me. Like, I'm very comfortable in my own skin. And that's kind of been how it is my entire life.
For total television viewers, reaching 54 million people. They also set an all-time record for the number of broadcasts that hit at least 1 million viewers. The league saw its highest total attendance in over 2 decades, with a massive 50% increase compared to the previous year. The All-Star Game broke new ground with a staggering 10 million fan votes, more than a 500% increase from the previous year. The Indiana Fever, the team Caitlin Clark plays for, managed to set an all-time single-season attendance record for a WNBA team. Beyond that, the league saw a 350% year-over-year growth in subscriptions to their paid streaming service. Add to that more social media engagement, more sellout crowds, more news coverage.
And you'll never be able to make everyone happy. And someone that knows that at the age of 22, like, let's go.
I mean, I think I have good perspective on that. And like I said in the article, which turned out amazing, I thought it was great. I said, I feel like one of my best skills is just blocking things out. Like, I don't really, the only opinions I really care about are the people that I love, my teammates, my coaches, the people inside of our locker room, the people that I see every single day, and I know have my best interests at heart too.
And more merchandise sales than ever before. It was the kind of season that WNBA executives likely never imagined was possible. Now, given all these remarkable achievements, how much money do you think the WNBA made this year? How much revenue could such a groundbreaking season bring in? What kind of profit do you think they were able to achieve? Earlier in the year, there were reports suggesting that the WNBA's finances weren't looking great. Now that the final numbers are in, those estimates have proven to be accurate. According to the New York Post, the WNBA lost $40 million this year. Yes, during its best season ever, the league still managed to operate at a loss of $40 million. They exceeded nearly every metric for.
I'm just scratching the surface of the things I want to accomplish, and you know, I'm 22. I'm still figuring out life. I'm still figuring out where everything's gonna go, and you know, I love basketball, and basketball has brought me so many amazing things, and that will continue to be probably my first passion and everything that I enjoy. And hopefully once basketball ends, I can still find things that I'm really passionate about and can do. Hopefully be an owner of a sports team one day, or open a restaurant. I don't know. Something fun. A little less stressful maybe. Maybe a coffee shop or something. I don't know.
Growth and engagement, and yet they still failed to turn a profit. This isn't just a bad year financially, it's a pattern. The WNBA has never been profitable in its entire history, and at this point, it's difficult to see how that could ever change. It's a concept fundamentally at odds with reality because the majority of Americans simply aren't interested in watching women's basketball even during a record-breaking year like this one. The numbers show that interest still isn't enough to sustain the league financially. This backdrop makes Caitlin Clark's recent interview with Time magazine particularly interesting. Time, which is still around, recently named Clark their Athlete of the Year and featured her on the cover. In the article, Clark made a statement that was both revealing and controversial. Here's the part that stands out, directly from Time magazine. "I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege," Clark said. "A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important." I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing. There are two things happening here. First, Clark is crediting black women with building the WNBA. Without them, she argues, the league wouldn't exist. While this might be intended as a compliment, it's a bit like praising someone for founding a business that consistently loses millions of dollars. However, even this claim isn't entirely accurate. The WNBA was built and is still financially sustained by the NBA. Without the NBA's funding and support, the WNBA wouldn't exist at all. She goes further to say that black women deserve to be elevated and celebrated, which makes it clear why she's saying this. She's protecting her endorsements and her status in the WNBA by endorsing a narrative that aligns with modern progressive ideals. What's interesting is that Clark's words come after and during a season in which she faced relentless abuse on the court. Whether it was being knocked over, poked in the eye, or shoulder-checked, Clark was repeatedly targeted, and in some cases, even taunted afterward. Yet despite this treatment, she's out here claiming that she has privilege as a white woman in the WNBA. Her experience suggests anything but privilege. What she does have is undeniable talent. Clark set records as a rookie, including the most points, the most assists, and becoming the fastest player to reach 300 points. Her performance is the reason she's a standout, not her race. However, her willingness to embrace the narrative of privilege even after the way she was treated on the court raises questions about whether she's doing so out of conviction or necessity. The WNBA, for all its growth and engagement, remains a business with fundamental issues. Even in its best year, it couldn't come close to profitability. Clark's commentary highlights the league's reliance on all players but doesn't address the underlying problem. The WNBA is asking for an audience that largely doesn't exist. The record-breaking engagement figures show progress, but they also show limits. A majority of Americans still aren't tuning in, even when the league reaches its peak. In the end, the WNBA's challenges go far beyond racial dynamics or privilege. The league's financial woes point to a deeper issue: its inability to convert interest into sustainable revenue. Caitlin Clark's remarks may spark conversations, but they don't change the reality that the WNBA is, at its core, a business struggling to justify its existence in the sports market. Did you hear what just happened? Megyn Kelly, yes, that Megyn Kelly, made some explosive comments about the WNBA, and she's not holding back. She's calling out the league for treating Caitlin Clark like she's the enemy. Hard to believe, right? So what exactly did Kelly say that has the WNBA so stirred up? Her blunt remarks about Clark have set the basketball world on fire, sparking a massive reaction across the league. Kelly didn't hold back, and now everyone is on edge. Let's dive into the details that everyone's talking about. Kelly didn't hold back when she criticized the WNBA for how it's treating Clark. She bluntly stated that what's happening to Clark is very serious. Can you believe it? This isn't just some offhand comment. Kelly's words carry a lot of weight, and now she's getting a lot of hate from people like Jemele Hill, who've weighed in, taking shots at her. You might be wondering, since when does Megyn Kelly care about basketball? And that's a fair question. She usually doesn't get involved in sports drama, so why is she speaking out now? The reason is that what's happening to Clark is so outrageous that even Kelly felt she needed to voice her opinion. This is where things really get heated. Kelly revealed that some players are actively targeting Clark on the court. She's not talking about just tough defense or regular competition, she's saying that Clark is facing outright abuse. And get this, she claims the league is letting it happen. How wild is that? But Kelly didn't stop there. She linked Clark's treatment to larger issues in women's sports. You know how Clark has been in the spotlight a lot recently? Well, Kelly made a shocking statement, saying that Clark is being treated this way because she's turning women's basketball into something more mainstream. Kelly believes that Clark's rise is making a lot of people uncomfortable. That's a serious accusation, and it's stirred up strong reactions from all sides. Kelly isn't just talking about fouls and rough play, she's claiming there's a deeper racial tension simmering beneath the surface of the WNBA,
and that Clark is right in the middle of it. You might be asking yourself if Kelly is right about all this. That's the big question. One thing is for sure, though, her comments are making everyone take a hard look at what's really going on in the league. Kelly believes that Clark is changing the sport and bringing it into the mainstream, but it seems not everyone is happy about it. This isn't just some drama, it's a major shakeup in the WNBA. And trust me, we're only seeing the first signs of it. The aftershocks from Kelly's bombshell will be felt for a long time.